The FBI has raided the home of a Washington Post journalist who's been covering the Trump administration's federal government firing since he took office. Hannah Natanson recently wrote this article about the hundreds of federal employees who have reached out to her. The FBI took a phone, 2 laptops, and a watch. But here's the interesting part. Agents told her that she is not their target, but part of a classified documents leak investigation stemming from a Pentagon contractor. Joining me now is Jesse Weber, host of NewsNation's new show, Jesse Weber Live, which premieres this coming Monday. Jesse, I feel like past administrations that have aggressively gone after certain publications or certain leaked stories have stopped short of this. How extraordinary is this move of searching a journalist's home?
It's really unusual unless the journalist had clearly, or there was evidence clearly committed a crime. You know, first of all, federal law protects journalists from having their work product searched. But remember what Attorney General Pam Bondi did back in April. She actually issued a memo that would make it easier for prosecutors to look into potential leaks to news media, issuing subpoenas and things of that nature. So you're kind of having this conflict here. But when you hear the DOJ say, listen, neither the Washington Post nor this reporter is the target or focus of the criminal investigation, it does make you wonder, A, what exactly are they searching for? And B, why was a search of the home necessary? Sometimes it could be communication with her or her lawyer to let them know what they're looking for. And then if that doesn't, result in some sort of negotiated sending over material, then you may see this escalation. So there's a lot of questions here, but it seems at this point, there may have been some communication between this government contractor who has been criminally charged and this reporter. And the question is whether or not any classified material was shared.
Was shared with her. So it sounds like that's what they were looking for, is what kind of leaked information did he or she share to Natanson. If that is the reason, and that's the reason alone, is the FBI, would they be legally justified in searching her home to try to figure
see,
that
that's
out?
Where it's tricky, right? Because what is he not currently charged with? Now, he's only charged, the guy who's the government contractor, he's charged with unlawful retention, right? He's not charged with disseminating information. So they haven't charged him with respect to that. That could change. The problem is generally reporters are protected from, if they get information, even if it was illegally obtained by somebody else and they can report on it, unless she was somehow part of this and was encouraging it and was somehow aiding in illegally retaining this information or getting this information, that's where you get into tricky areas here. But again, with AG Bondi's memo from April, that may give some cover, but I do wonder if this escalates even further, if we'll see a legal challenge in court.
Yeah, and now, you've seen the reaction to this story. You have press freedom advocates now speaking out, in opposition of this, and they're calling on the DOJ to explain why this was necessary, why it was legally permissible. Do you think the public and journalists everywhere are deserving of some sort of answer or transparency from the FBI?
Look, will they get it? I mean, deserving? Sure. I think there's an aspect to that. But if they're saying, look, there's an ongoing criminal investigation, we're not going to share that at this point about what the rationale was. And I think the optics couldn't be worse, right? You have a Washington Post reporter who was heavily involved in covering the administration, and now her materials are being searched, right? A Garmin watch and laptops and phone. Now, again, this can all be connected to the person who's actually been criminally charged, but the optics of it really don't look great. And so I would hope there would be a little bit of clarification. And it seemed that the DOJ was trying to do that by saying, listen, the Washington Post, this reporter, they're not the focus of this criminal investigation. But by saying that, then you hear the counter argument. Why was this search warrant necessary? What exactly are you looking for? Is this violating federal law? So a very, very tricky intersection between, in a criminal investigation and the First Amendment. And we're going to see how it plays out. Again, very, very unusual to see something like this.
And who would have, just last question for you before I let you go, who would have authorized this? I mean, would President Trump have needed to authorize something like this, or is this far below him?
He shouldn't. He shouldn't. There should be a separation between the president and the DOJ. Now, you do wonder whether or not, and I have to imagine that given something like this, that AG Bondi potentially knew about it. The supervisory agent in charge was obviously the one who spearheaded this, but you also need a sign-off if you're going to get a search warrant from the court. So it does become interesting to see what that level of communication was, but no, the president should be as far away from this as possible.
Okay, we'll see what explanation, if any. I'm sure you're right. I bet it's goose egg that we get in the coming days on this one. Jesse Weber, thanks so much. And everybody, be sure to catch Jesse's news show here on NewsNation. Jesse Weber Live, premiering next Monday, January 19th at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock Central.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.